So the New York Times recently ran a piece saying that Palestinian prisoners had been raped with dogs in Israeli prisons, and the response in the American media, to the extent there was response, was to accuse the writer of blood libel against all Jews. This is like accusing rabbis of poisoning wells. It was basically Nazi propaganda. That was the response. Does that sound plausible to you?
It does sound plausible. I did not hear any examples of that, but what I have heard about and what I've taken detailed testimonies of are some of the most appalling examples of torture. I've heard no examples of dogs raping the prisoners, but I have heard multiple examples of the dogs being used as weapons. You'll be familiar with the drone warfare. They're the quadcopters with cameras and guns. Well, they have dogs who are trained to go into the hospitals with cameras and guns on their back. My colleague, of whom I took a detailed testimony, has described that in great detail.
Dogs with guns on their backs?
Dogs with cameras and guns on their backs and being trained to go into hospitals and shoot people. And I've heard multiple examples of that. So.
Of a living dog.
Living dogs who are trained. They go in, they go into wherever, and then there's someone remotely controlling the camera and the guns, and then they are.
If you told me that it happened in a North Korean prison camp, I would have trouble believing you. You're saying the Israeli government did this.
Well, I'm telling you what I have taken testimony of a friend of mine. So I talk a lot about this. I felt this obligation, having witnessed all these atrocities, that I feel I have to share this with everyone. And I'm not alone. A lot of people have done this. A lot of my colleagues have done this. A lot of US doctors have done this. I mean, US doctors, British doctors, we've all publicly written to our governments. A few of us wrote a very detailed dossier with photographic and written evidence of what we'd seen. Enlarged, laminated colour photographs of babies who'd been shot in the head, of children who'd lost their limbs, of children who'd been starved to death. But by and large, the US politicians we met were very sympathetic, but of course it had no impact whatsoever.
So your friend who was raped to death, your friends who were tortured, why were they detained and tortured?
My presumption is, I mean, I can tell you a lot of facts about what's happened there. My interpretation is my opinion. It would seem to me, and many others who've witnessed all of this, that this has been a deliberate policy to destroy the healthcare system. The Israeli military invade the hospitals, was with about 20 or 30 other healthcare workers put in a big pit. They were stripped naked down to their underwear. They were blindfolded. They were handcuffed. They were left in a pit in the ground for 2 to 3 days. Then they were taken off to an Israeli prison. They were left blindfolded. They were left handcuffed. They were beaten those first few days non-stop for 12 hours at a time. One of my close friends, who's one of the senior deans in the medical school there, was abducted and taken away. He was only taken for, I think, 10 days and then released. But there are so many examples.
How old is he?
He is, I guess, late 50s. Oh. Yeah, I mean, and there are photographs.
Not of militant age.
Not of militant age, absolutely. Absolutely.
And what was the justification?
Well, so they were continually being grilled about, what about them being Hamas members and what they had done and all that sort of stuff. Now, there are some, Hussam Abu Safir, who's the director of Kamal Adwan Hospital, was abducted over a year ago now. He's still under detention in an Israeli prison. His lawyers can't get in news about him. There are many people who are still there.
Are they charged with crimes? Put on trial?
Oh, no. None of them are charged. None of them are charged. These are all people who are detained without charge.
So just completely lawless.
But that's been happening for, as you will know, for decades in the Palestinian territories. There are thousands of Palestinian in the West Bank who are in prison without charge, who've been in prison without charge. So this has been happening for a long time.
It's shocking.
It is shocking
to me.
And having seen this, having witnessed this is why I think it is important that we tell everyone what's going on, because this is not what we're hearing from our Western media, from our governments.
So shocking that the military just rolls into a hospital, abducts senior physicians, and then rapes them in prison with no charges. It's kind of hard to believe that could be true, given that Israel is regarded by, I think, most people in the United States as a civilized country. Maybe you disagree with their influence over our politics, but like, it's Israel. It's not that different from us. You're describing totally uncivilized, evil behavior, organized behavior. Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. We hope you'll subscribe to it. And by the way, you can hit the little bell on there and get notifications every time we produce a video. We hope you'll do that also.